The psychology of soft power. How to win without barking like a damn fool. Did you notice that the most powerful person in the room is rarely the loudest? They're the one watching everything and saying almost nothing. Here's what no one tells you. True power isn't about dominating conversations or winning arguments through volume. It's about influencing outcomes through presence, strategy, and emotional mastery. Do you find yourself getting louder when you want to be heard? Do you feel like you have to prove your worth through constant verbal battles? Do you think aggression equals strength? You've been lied to about what real power looks like, and it's costing you respect, influence, and effectiveness. Today we're exploring the psychology of soft power, the art of winning without fighting, influencing without force, and commanding respect through quiet confidence. We're covering 5 game changers. First, what soft power actually is and why it's criminally underrated. Second, how emotional intelligence becomes your secret weapon. Third, the psychological tools of silence, stillness, and certainty. Fourth, how to read people better than they read you. And fifth, why being a quiet storm beats being a loud mess every single time. 1. What is soft power and why it's underrated as hell? Let's start by defining what we're talking about. Soft power is the ability to influence, persuade, and lead without domination or aggression. It's getting what you want through attraction rather than coercion, through presence rather than pressure. Soft power isn't weakness, it's strategy. It's grace under pressure and composure under chaos. It's understanding that the loudest person in the room is usually the most insecure, and the most secure person rarely needs to raise their voice. Think about the people who have real influence in your life. Are they the ones who yell the loudest, or are they the ones who speak with quiet authority? Are they the ones who demand respect, or are they the ones who naturally command it through their presence and consistency? Sun Tzu wrote in The Art of War. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. This isn't just military strategy, it's life strategy. The highest form of winning is when your opponent doesn't even realize they've lost, when influence happens so subtly that people think they came to your conclusion on their own. Soft power works because it doesn't trigger people's defenses. When you attack someone's position directly, they dig in deeper. When you influence them indirectly, they're more likely to be open to change. When you force someone to do something, they resent it. When you inspire them to want to do it, they thank you for it. The world is full of people trying to win through force, volume, and aggression. That makes them predictable. Soft power makes you unpredictable. And unpredictability is a massive advantage in any negotiation, relationship, or conflict. 2. Sun Tzu meets emotional intelligence. Here's where soft power gets sophisticated. It's not just about tactics, it's about mastering your emotions in high-stakes moments. Soft power thrives on the combination of emotional control and strategic empathy. You don't yell your truth at people, you move them toward it. You don't force people to see your perspective. You create conditions where they discover it themselves. This requires a level of emotional intelligence that most people never develop. Daniel Goleman, who popularized the concept of emotional intelligence, argues that emotional intelligence matters more than brute intelligence in almost every area of life. The smartest person in the room isn't always the most successful. It's the person who can read the room, manage their emotions, and influence others effectively. Emotional control means you don't react to every provocation. You respond instead of reacting. You pause instead of pouncing. You stay centered while others lose their composure, and that centeredness becomes your advantage. Strategic empathy means you understand what motivates other people, what threatens them, what they need to feel safe. You're not manipulating them. You're speaking their emotional language so they can hear what you're actually saying. When someone attacks you verbally, soft power means you don't attack back. You might say something like, "I can see this is really important to you. Help me understand why." You've just diffused their aggression while gathering information about their real concerns. 3. Psychological Warfare 101. Silence, stillness, certainty. Now let's get into the specific tools that make soft power so effective. The 3 pillars are silence, stillness, and certainty, and each one is psychologically powerful for different reasons. Silence makes people reveal themselves. Most people are so uncomfortable with silence that they'll fill it with information you can use. In negotiations, the person who speaks first after a proposal usually loses. In conflicts, the person who stays silent while the other person rants often learns everything they need to know about their opponent's real position. Silence also forces people to really hear what you do say. When you speak rarely, people listen more carefully. Your words carry more weight because they're not competing with constant chatter. Stillness makes you unpredictable. When everyone else is reactive, your calm presence becomes magnetic. People don't know what you're thinking, and that uncertainty gives you psychological leverage. Stillness doesn't mean being passive. It means being intentional about when and how you move. Certainty makes you magnetic, not arrogance, not rigidity, but quiet confidence in your own worth and capabilities. Certainty is attractive because most people are drowning in doubt and second-guessing themselves. When you project calm confidence, people gravitate toward that energy. Power is not in the noise. It's in how unbothered you are while others scramble. While they're reacting emotionally, you're responding strategically. While they're trying to prove themselves, you're quietly assessing the situation and planning your next move. 4. Read people better than they read you. Here's where soft power becomes a superpower. When you can read people better than they can read you, you have a massive advantage in every interaction. And the key to reading people is simple: observe before you respond. Most people are so focused on what they're going to say next that they miss what's actually happening in front of them. They're preparing their rebuttal instead of processing the information they're receiving. This is a huge missed opportunity. Look for body language mismatches. When someone's words don't match their posture, that's information. When someone says they're confident, but their arms are crossed and they're avoiding eye contact, their body's telling you the truth. Their words are hiding. Listen for insecurity masked as arrogance. People who are truly confident don't need to constantly assert their confidence. People who are genuinely powerful don't need to remind you how powerful they are. When someone is overselling their position, they're revealing their doubts. People tell you everything if you shut up long enough. They'll reveal their fears, their motivations, their weak points, their real agenda. They'll tell you what they need, what they're afraid of losing, and what would make them feel safe. All you have to do is listen. This isn't about manipulation. It's about understanding. When you understand someone deeply, you can influence them more effectively because you're addressing their real concerns instead of just their surface objections. 5. Be a quiet storm, not a loud mess. Here's the fundamental difference between people who have real influence and people who just make noise. Loud people seek validation, but quiet power commands respect. Think about a storm. The most dangerous part isn't the wind and rain on the outside. It's the calm, powerful center that's driving everything. Be that center. Be the person who doesn't need to prove their worth through volume or aggression. True power doesn't prove itself. It just is. It's so secure in its own value that it doesn't need external validation. It doesn't need to win every argument or have the last word in every conversation. Robert Greene writes in the 48 laws of power. Always say less than necessary. When you say less, people read more into your words. They project power onto your silence. They assume depth behind your brevity. This doesn't mean being passive or weak. It means being strategic about when you engage and when you observe. It means choosing your battles instead of fighting every battle. It means understanding that sometimes the most powerful response is no response at all. Quiet storms are unpredictable. You don't know when they'll move or how they'll move, but you can feel their presence. Loud messes are predictable. They react to everything with the same energy, which makes them easy to manipulate and easy to dismiss. All right, time for the truth that's going to sting, but ultimately transform how you show up in the world. If you constantly need to prove your worth, you don't actually believe in it. You're loud because you're insecure, reactive because you're triggered, and exhausting because you're uncentered. Learn this: people don't follow noise. They follow gravity. They're drawn to people who have that quiet magnetic presence, who are secure enough in themselves that they don't need to fill every silence or win every argument. Your need to be right in every conversation is costing you influence. Your need to have the last word is costing you respect. Your need to prove your intelligence is actually proving your insecurity. Stop trying to be the smartest person in the room and start being the most centered person in the room. Stop trying to win every battle and start focusing on winning the war. Stop proving your power and start embodying it. The most powerful people you know didn't get there by being the loudest. They got there by being the most strategic, the most emotionally intelligent, and the most secure in their own worth. Become someone whose silence shifts the room, whose presence changes the energy, whose quiet confidence is more compelling than anyone else's loud arguments. Here's your challenge for this week. This week, you're practicing soft power. Here's your assignment. Say 30% less in your next conflict. Make eye contact longer. Let the silence do the heavy lifting instead of filling every pause with words. Journal on this question: where am I using force instead of influence? Where am I trying to prove myself instead of just being myself? Drop a comment below and tell me, here's where I'm switching from force to quiet influence. Let's raise the room. Not our voices. Your presence is your power. It's time you started using it. If this video made you realize that your loudest voice might not be your most powerful one, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We're building a community of people who understand that true strength is quiet, true confidence is calm, and true influence happens without force. Share this with someone who needs to learn the difference between making noise and making impact. Sometimes the most powerful message is delivered in a whisper. Remember, you're not broken, you're untrained, and the skills of soft power, emotional intelligence, and quiet influence can be developed starting today. Until next time, stop proving your worth and start embodying it.